The story begins from a shocking news. A man was caught keeping a boy locked in a warehouse for 12 long years. The police arrested him for illegal imprisonment and breaking labor laws, but his face stayed hidden from the public. Reporters swarmed around, shouting questions as two officers who had earlier noticed something odd shared how they had broken into the warehouse. Inside, they found piles of books, and right in the middle, a boy sat silently, reading. His body was frail, covered with old wounds, and it was clear he had suffered greatly. He couldn't hear or speak, so they rushed him to the hospital. At the hospital, the staff struggled to keep reporters away. The boy, now identified as 18-year-old Shin, showed clear signs of malnutrition and infected injuries. Even with all his pain, his eyes held a strange, quiet beauty. A female doctor, heartbroken, wrote a note asking for his name. After a long pause, he finally whispered something shocking. Memories flashed of how he had been forced to work under the burning sun, sweating and starving, while the man who imprisoned him lived in comfort. Every day, Shin was given only rotten leftovers, but he had no choice but to survive. The protagonist quietly watched the woman leave the room, his eyes following her as she gently closed the door. He turned to the clock on the wall, carefully counting every second. After a minute and 20 seconds, a strange voice echoed inside him, promising to let him hear. Shocked, he suddenly became aware of sounds he couldn't notice before: the steady ticking of the clock, footsteps approaching, and faint voices outside. Confused but focused, he listened as the footsteps grew louder, feeling a nervous energy build inside him. He caught pieces of a conversation where someone suggested keeping him calm. Slowly, the door opened, revealing two familiar, worried faces. It was his parents. Overwhelmed by emotion, they rushed to embrace him, ignoring the doctor's warnings. His mother sobbed uncontrollably, blaming herself for his pain, apologizing again and again. But the emotions became too much for the young boy, and he panicked, covering his ears as the voices around him grew louder and heavier, drowning his senses. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a girl finished her chores and called her mother. Unknown to her, she was about to step back into her lost brother's life once again. The detective kept pressing the man, questioning him about the horrible crime. Even though all the signs pointed toward him, the man kept shouting that it wasn't him. Frustrated, the detective slammed the table and told him to stop lying, but the man's voice grew louder. He blamed everything on the boy, yelling that the boy he had fed and given a home to was the real troublemaker. The officers told him to calm down, but the man wouldn't stop. He warned them that they didn't know who that boy really was. Far away, in a dark room filled with books, the boy sat flipping through pages about human body procedures, his face cold and focused. Lightning lit up the room, showing his chilling expression. Meanwhile, the boy was also exploring something new. Sitting in his house, he discovered YouTube after his little sister Bowie once mentioned it. Surprised by all the videos, he watched a vlogger warmly greet the viewers like a family. The boy replayed it again and again, copying the voice and words, "Hello family," imagining his own parents and sister. Curious, he kept exploring and soon stumbled upon a video where two girls excitedly shared a giant meal. Under the lonely streetlight, moths danced in the glow until it blinked out, scattering them into the dark. Inside the house, the protagonist stood by the window, struggling with a voice inside him. The voice claimed it would protect the family better, mocking him for thinking calling the police was enough. The rain started to fall heavily and their argument grew darker. The voice revealed itself as a part of the protagonist, born from fear and worry, taking over whenever he felt weak. Although the monster offered knowledge, using it too much could destroy him. Realizing the danger but determined to act, the protagonist decided to summon it just for tonight. As he closed his eyes, a shift happened inside him. Now sharper, more fearless, he became someone else, a little beast. Outside, through the pounding rain, a man holding an umbrella stood silently. Without making a sound, the little beast turned away from the window, opened the door carefully, and slipped outside. In the roaring rain, he walked downstairs and reached the main gate, every move filled with quiet determination, ready for whatever awaited him next. The protagonist turned to his sister, asking how she knew so much. She smiled and said she learned from reading many books. Before they could talk more, their mom called them for dinner. The little sister rushed quickly, worried her brother would eat everything first. Later that night, when the house was quiet, the protagonist lay in bed, scrolling through YouTube. Even though he had already eaten, he started drooling after seeing people eating delicious food. He kept scrolling until a certain video caught his attention. It was a high school girl's channel where she was eating a big meal. Curious, he clicked on it. The girl greeted everyone warmly and said she would eat just a small portion of malatang. But then she laughed and said she would actually eat 10 servings. She picked up spicy noodles with chopsticks, blew on them, and started eating. Even though it was very spicy, she said it was really tasty. Watching her enjoy her food made the protagonist even more curious. He checked more videos from her channel. In one, she was preparing to eat ramen. The protagonist skipped ahead, watching closely. As the girl got ready to eat, something strange caught his eye. The protagonist quietly observed the girl sitting across the room. Her nervous eye movements, finger gestures, lip biting, and hunched shoulders spoke louder than words. She fiddled with her necklace, drew patterns on the table with her hair, and pointed at her hairband, all small signs that showed she was desperately asking for help. The detective, still confused, listened as the protagonist explained that the girl was trying to hide from her abusers, who were not just one person but a group of young adults like her. The detective wondered if the girl had no family or had grown up in a rough place. The protagonist, speaking from painful experience, said only someone who had lived in captivity could recognize such silent cries for help. He saw his own lost self in her eyes. When he asked if too many coincidences could actually reveal the truth, it caught the detective off guard. The protagonist then pointed out surprising details about the detective's life and even about the suspect they recently caught, showing how simple facts connected like hidden threads. Laughing, the detective asked if he dreamed of becoming an investigator, but the protagonist smiled, saying he only wanted a normal life. Yet his words hinted at something much deeper waiting to unfold. The protagonist was heading down to the first floor after a long morning when the girl in uniform stepped out of the elevator with him. Before he could move further, a girl named Hiram spotted him and walked over, smiling and saying, "So we meet again." The protagonist stayed calm but immediately started analyzing her. It was only 11 a.m. and a high schooler being here seemed odd. She wasn't shy or nervous around adults either. Her tone and face stayed steady, showing she was used to this environment. As she stepped in front of him, she casually asked if his uncle had shown him the office. He guessed she must be connected to someone powerful, maybe related to an executive. Nodding briefly, he turned and confidently walked past her. Feeling annoyed, Hiram called after him. When he turned, she asked why he wasn't at school. Calmly, he said he didn't go to school, then started walking away again. Hiram didn't like being brushed off, but he clearly said he didn't want to be around people who brought no benefit to him, and right now, she was one of them. Trying to keep her pride, Hiram quickly asked, "What if I'm the daughter of the CEO?" The protagonist pretended to be surprised, making her feel proud. They sat silently at the lodge, staring at each other. She looked him over, noticing his simple clothes and plain shoes. But he kept his eyes locked on her, thinking his plan had worked. Making her feel small forced her to reveal her connection. Now, she seemed to have found her balance again. Acting casual, she asked if he was free and wanted to hang out since she was bored. The protagonist looked into her eyes and understood, while she thought she was playing with him, the real game had only just begun. The protagonist stood up and said he needed to leave to study, staying calm even when the girl teased him about cleaning bathrooms. He simply said he was preparing for the civil servant exam. She quickly stopped him and asked for his number, offering to help plan a trip since he had never been to the island. Watching her closely, the protagonist noticed she seemed hooked on the happiness he gave her, hinting at some attachment issues. Deciding to use it, he handed over his number. She was shocked to see there was no passcode on his phone. He took it back, thanked her for the meal, and walked away. Feeling annoyed, she followed him outside and asked where he lived. As he ignored her, he spotted something strange in a nearby alley. Warning her not to look, he saw a man attacking someone. The man noticed them and ran like a shadow. The protagonist chased for a moment but stopped, choosing to help the injured man instead. He called for help, trying hard to keep the man alive. Time was running out, and with his hands soaked, he begged the dispatcher to hurry, but suddenly he remembered something important. Little Sherlock watches the suspect closely, using his special analyzing eye to observe every detail. He catches the man's nervous behavior, noting how he repeatedly touches his nose and grinds his teeth, signs of someone lying. Despite the suspect's claim about a stain from cooking, Sherlock remains certain that he's guilty. The officers await Sherlock's analysis, and he confidently declares that the suspect is lying. The rain pours heavily outside as Sherlock continues to observe. He suspects the man is nervous but admits he could be lying out of fear. Sherlock asks about the suspect's background and education, confirming that he holds a master's degree, which means he might demand evidence. Sherlock is certain the man will confess once told about an eyewitness. With his deduction made, Sherlock leaves the station. The officer, now with the new information, confronts the suspect, who finally confesses. Outside, the rain has stopped, and Sherlock looks up at the sky, pondering what the officers eat at the station. He smiles, thinking he'll try it someday. Checking his phone, he responds to Hiram's messages, updating her about the case. Later, he meets Hiram for a ramen eating challenge, finishing the giant bowl in a mere 12 minutes, leaving both Hiram and the chef amazed. Sherlock's day ends with a quiet evening, watching cooking videos at home, when his phone rings. It's Detective Taein, thanking him for helping solve a case involving runaway kids. Taein invites him for a meal as a thank you. The protagonist, still confused and lost in thought, follows the strangers as they flee from him, but they're quick to escape. A man at a distance, who had been filming this situation, laughs to himself, feeling like he's just captured a viral clip. The man, a YouTuber with a popular channel, reveals that he recorded the scam attempt on Lil Sherlock. He asks if he can post it online, but Lil Sherlock, wanting no attention, declines. The man offers to blur his face and even change his voice, but Lil Sherlock insists on deleting the video. Despite the man's attempts to convince him, even offering 1 million won, Lil Sherlock suddenly changes his approach, pulling up his phone and giving the man his bank account number. Shocked, the man transfers the money. Later, at a diner, the detective nervously orders expensive meat after promising to treat Lil Sherlock. They discuss the recent case, with Lil Sherlock downplaying his role, saying he's trying to live a normal life. The detective wonders if Lil Sherlock's crime-solving instincts come from past trauma. They enjoy a delicious meal together, with Lil Sherlock relishing the taste. Time passes, and the next day, Lil Sherlock prepares for his high school equivalency exam. Afterward, he walks home, troubled by doubts about his performance. At home, his sister wonders if he failed, but Lil Sherlock simply says he overestimated himself and heads to his room, lost in thought. The protagonist sat quietly while the girl checked his answers. Even though he had already solved everything, she wanted to be sure he didn't miss anything. She opened the answer website and got ready to check. From a distance, the protagonist started saying the answers one by one without even looking. She checked each one and nodded every single answer was right. Then, before she could ask for more, he suddenly recited all the rest at once, without a single mistake. The girl was shocked. When he finished, he nervously asked if he got anything wrong. Smiling, she said he was perfect in this subject. Maybe only another subject could have a mistake. She quickly tested his math too, but again, he answered everything perfectly. The protagonist begged, hoping he had made at least one mistake, but the girl sadly shook her head and said, "Bad news, you got them all right." Hearing this, he looked down, feeling more worried than happy. He muttered that being too good made him different. The girl tried to comfort him, reminding him that their parents would be proud. Soon, their mom and dad came home, and the girl excitedly shared the news. Their parents were stunned. The father was so amazed he dropped the shopping bags, rushed forward, and hugged the protagonist tightly, feeling proud beyond words. The protagonist looked at the trembling man and felt no fear anymore. He was finally free from his past. While the man kept ranting, the protagonist calmly told him that now he was the one trapped. The man, feeling cornered, shouted that it was the protagonist who had harmed his sister-in-law. But the protagonist, cold and steady, twisted the story, saying that everyone in his family had simply passed away from heart trouble. This shook the man badly. When he tried to jump at the protagonist, the officer quickly stopped him. Watching the man panic, the protagonist added that even 2 of the man's friends had logged out after fighting with him. Fear took over the man completely, his hands shook and his face turned pale. Smiling darkly, the protagonist teased him more, asking if he should carve his release date onto his skin. When the man angrily accused him of threatening, the protagonist simply acted concerned for his health, pretending to care. He hinted about the man writing an autobiography, surprising him. With a chilling grin, the protagonist stood up suddenly, causing the terrified man to fall backward, unable to hide his fear. The protagonist shared smart ideas about how people are persuaded every day without even knowing it. He explained that new smartphones, amusement parks, and even handbags are advertised in a way that makes people instantly want them. Everyone in the class was amazed at how much he knew. After finishing his explanation, he casually asked when the class would start treating him like a normal student. His words left the students speechless, and even the professor praised him by clapping, followed by the whole class. But deep down, the protagonist felt frustrated because being seen as normal was becoming harder for him. Then, the professor started the business administration lecture. The protagonist spun his pen, eager to listen. At first, he nodded, thinking everything made sense, but as the lecture continued, he realized he already knew everything the professor was teaching. It quickly became boring, and he felt disappointed. Still, he stayed alert just in case the professor noticed. A student nearby saw he was bored but didn't say anything. Soon, the lecture came to an end, leaving the protagonist feeling even more restless for something new to learn. The detective praised the young genius for figuring out so much just by observing. When asked if they had found anything else, the detective handed over CCTV footage, but nothing useful had come up yet. The protagonist carefully studied the video and noticed something shocking. The man in the footage happily invited the culprit inside, meaning they knew each other. Quickly, the protagonist figured out the man was about 180 centimeters tall, had blonde hair, left no fingerprints, and wore a size 270 millimeters shoe. The detective confirmed all details but was surprised when the protagonist said the man in the video wasn't the real culprit. Curious, the detective asked why. The protagonist smartly replied, "If you already caught him, why ask for my help?" It turned out the suspect wouldn't confess, and even the detective felt something strange. The suspect claimed he stayed at a motel, but the CCTV there was broken and the owner too drunk to recall anything. While checking the body, they had found a hair strand. The protagonist pointed out that the murder weapon was a sashimi knife, meaning the real culprit likely worked with fish professionally. People often choose familiar tools. The absence of fingerprints could be explained by constant water exposure damaging the skin. He further revealed that the hair was fake. The real culprit wore a wig to mislead them. He also explained that the red footprint showed the culprit put most weight on their heels, hinting at something deeper yet to come. The protagonist remembered questioning a sushi chef connected to the case and quickly asked his teammate to catch him. After that, he returned to the university. While walking, he got a call from the detective who warmly told him he cared about him. The protagonist, feeling awkward, thanked him for the earlier reward instead. Then he asked about the true reason behind the crime. The detective explained that the victim had spread damaging rumors about unpaid debts. After giving some final advice, the detective ended the call. Just then, someone called out to the protagonist. It was a man he recognized earlier. He had introduced himself as Kim Mansu. The protagonist noticed that Mansa looked around his age. Mansa praised the answer he had given in class, comparing it to a professional's lecture. As they walked, they noticed a notice about a stock trading competition. Mansa asked if he would join. The protagonist realized that if he didn't, he would attract attention, so he decided to participate. He thought deeply about how the stock market worked, like ant lions preying on ants. People often rushed into stock trading, only to lose everything. Watching others fail, he wondered if he should stay ordinary, but losing could harm his family too. The protagonist kept using real money to buy and trade shares, studying the charts with full focus. He didn't stop buying and selling again and again as the charts began to climb higher, faster and faster. In the middle of this, the strong presence inside him spoke, saying that money shouldn't just be earned, it should be something others chase for you. In real life, unless someone prints money, they must provide real value to earn it. Whether leading a company or working for one, you must grab every chance, no matter how exhausted you feel. Even waking up at strange hours becomes normal when chasing success. A business owner must make deals and pay workers, and the cycle of money never stops. If someone wants a simple, risk-free life, they can stay safe. But to get rich, real risks must be taken. The protagonist realized money could act like a worker, working non-stop to bring happiness, motivation, and energy. Still, many people fail to use leftover money wisely. Instead of rushing to dig for gold like others, he chose a smarter path, selling pickaxes to those dreamers. While others were busy chasing dreams, he planned to grab the real profit quietly and wisely. The protagonist stayed calm as the mocking laughter around him filled the room. When he revealed that he made a 30% profit, the laughter froze. Curious, another boy asked if he had always been good at trading. Yong-hun couldn't believe his eyes. He looked at the protagonist's cheap clothes, old phone, and worn-out shoes, wondering how someone so simple could make that kind of money. Driven by disbelief, Yong-hun asked to see his phone but fumbled it on purpose, pretending it was an accident. As the phone slipped through the air, the protagonist quickly calculated its fall. Refusing to let the gift from his parents break, he dashed forward and caught it just in time, shocking everyone with his speed. Yong-hun apologized, but his eyes caught a strange mark on the protagonist's back. Curious and mocking, he asked if he had been part of a gang, joking that even dangerous people would back off if they saw him. The teasing continued, and the protagonist quietly reflected on how the strong always pick on the weak. He knew that bullying wasn't just about cruelty, it fed something deeper inside them, and once it started, it rarely stopped. The protagonist tries the drink but finds the taste awful even though everyone else enjoys it. He wonders if alcohol feels better when grown up, making him question if he's really a child inside an adult's body. Just then, his phone rings. It's Hiram. She's nearby and wants to visit. Even though she's coming no matter what, he still asks the group and they agree. Excited inside, he tells her to come in. While the others chat, the protagonist waits anxiously. Finally, the restaurant door swings open. It's the moment he's been waiting for. Hiram enters, teasing him about liking this kind of place. She reaches the table and introduces herself as his friend. His university friends are stunned by her beauty and quickly introduce themselves. When she notices he's drinking, he nervously says it's just soju. One of the friends, Young-hun, keeps staring at her, amazed. Hiram, catching his fake rich vibes, coolly adjusts her hair, flashing a shiny, expensive watch that leaves Young-hun embarrassed. Trying to save face, he asks again if they're truly just friends, but the protagonist firmly says they are. Meanwhile, the mood lightens as he strikes up a fun chat with another friend, Jan, about swimming, making Jan excited to share more. Shin, still processing everything, reflected on his painful past. He had endured harsh conditions, working endlessly under the burning sun while others sat idle. His only reward was scraps, leftovers that even pigs wouldn't eat, but he had no choice but to survive. During a snowstorm, he was left freezing, with no warm clothes. Desperation led him to eat a cockroach one night just to fill his empty stomach. As the female doctor observed Shin, she could see the emotional scars he carried, and her disgust toward the man who caused his suffering grew stronger. She wanted to see justice, but for now, the focus was on Shin's physical health, which wasn't as bad as expected. Meanwhile, reporters outside were relentless, demanding answers about Shin's identity and family. The doctor, irritated by their intrusion, dismissed them and ordered them to leave. Inside the room, Shin was resting, but when he woke, he observed his surroundings carefully. He noticed a man with a broken leg across from him, distracted by his phone. Shin, analyzing the man's condition, deduced that the accident had been serious. Soon, a doctor entered with food, and Shin, too hungry to care, devoured it rapidly, shocking everyone around him. When the doctor told him his family had arrived, Shin was frozen. He thought of family, a word that stirred something deep within him. As he waited, a strange voice whispered inside him, leaving him confused. Little Sherlock, overwhelmed with emotions, cries and apologizes, blaming himself for the suffering his family endured. The voices in his head grow louder, causing him to panic. Concerned, his parents rush to check on him, but he can only cover his ears, lost in distress. Meanwhile, Sherlock's sister, unaware of her brother's condition, reflects on the hardships he must have faced being locked away for 12 years. She watches the news about his rescue, feeling glad he's coming home, even though she barely remembers him. Her thoughts are interrupted when the doorbell rings, signaling her brother's return. She greets him, feeling a mix of awkwardness and happiness. Little Sherlock stands at the doorway, hesitant to enter. After a gentle nudge from his father, he steps inside, but his mind is elsewhere, analyzing his new surroundings. The family notices his odd behavior, but they try to make him feel welcome. His sister, unsure how to interact with him, attempts to teach him how to use a phone. His fascination with technology, like using a smartphone and searching the internet, is evident. As dinner is prepared, Sherlock is mesmerized by the aroma of the food, mistakenly thinking it was perfume. His family, pleased by his amazement, warmly serves him, and they all enjoy the meal together. Meanwhile, in a police interrogation room, the officer reveals that the man who imprisoned Sherlock's family died 5 years ago. The tragic deaths of the man's family are also mentioned. The detective continues questioning the man, but he denies any involvement in the crime, insisting that the real culprit is a boy. The man shouts angrily, blaming the son of my Fed and house, referring to a boy named Sherlock. Despite the officer's attempts to calm him, the man keeps repeating that they have no idea who Sherlock truly is. Meanwhile, Sherlock, in a dark room surrounded by books, focuses on studying human autopsy procedures. A flash of lightning reveals his intense expression as he reads, adding a creepy vibe to the scene. Later, Sherlock, still on his phone, explores YouTube for the first time. He mimics a vlogger's greeting, "Hello family," thinking of his parents and sister. While browsing, Sherlock stumbles upon a mukbang video and gets excited about food. His sister, Bowie, invites him for ice cream, and they head to a convenience store. Sherlock is amazed by the store's size and variety. He eagerly tries his first ice cream, overwhelmed by its taste, and quickly devours it, leaving Bowie amused. As they head home, Sherlock notices a strange man watching them from a distance. His instincts kick in, and he carefully analyzes the suspicious figure. The protagonist and his sister are walking home late at night when she insists on him coming inside, fearing their mother's scolding. The street light flickers, attracting moths, but then the light shuts off. Inside, the protagonist feels a dark presence, a voice taunting him. It claims to be the monster inside him, feeding off his anxiety. He refuses to accept this entity, stating that it doesn't belong in this world. The voice challenges him, questioning his intentions and his strength. The protagonist, determined, calls on the monster within him, taking control and gaining knowledge at the cost of his own energy.